You know the movie The Bucket List? It's about these two cancer patients, and they make a list of all the things they want to do before they kick the bucket.
Even the happy scenes make me tear up. It's such a sad movie, isn't it? Touching. It's touching.
Yeah.
It is. All right, well, this movie had everyone making all sorts of bucket lists. So maybe it was a summer vacation bucket list. We heard of some people locally making a Utah bucket list, things to do here. My cousin, he's leaving to go to dental school. He made a Provo bucket list, he and his wife, things they could do just in Provo before they left.
Are there enough things to do in Provo?
Oh, you'd be surprised, yes. So we were intrigued with Studio 5 relationship coach Matt Townsend because he mentioned a relationship bucket list.
Yes.
What is a relationship bucket list?
Well, notice the video was about, the whole movie was about a relationship of these two men who are dying.
A touching one.
A touching one. You said sad.
Well, I corrected it to touching.
But see, what's amazing is it's not about what we do. Like, let's get real. What it's about is who we're becoming, right? Isn't that on your deathbed? Are you going to be like, oh, I wish we had gone to Vegas? Because that was on my list. Or do you want to be the kind of person you want to be? Do you want to be remembered as something? Do you want your kids around you loving you, or do you want them just looking through your picture book?
And I think even those things you check off the, you know, skydive, whatever, it creates, it's because you have this feeling when you're doing it. That's why.
I mean, those guys were strapped to people. What if you didn't like the person you were strapped to? And you're skydiving. So part of what this is about, it's about what we're becoming with each other. So I teach that there's 4 things we want on our relationship bucket list. There's 4 ways of being that we want to master before we're all done. And if we can master these 4 things, then you know what? All your relationships will be better. All of them. Even with your in-laws. Oh, do you want them?
Please.
They're powerful. There's 4 of them. Are you ready?
Number 1. Teases with the in-laws, and now everyone's waiting on beta breath. Like, really? I can improve that?
You must possess an open and teachable heart. How many times in a relationship have you struggled because they're not teachable? They're not open to learning. They don't want to learn new stuff. I have so many. I was down in St. George, and all these people would come up and say, I would love to come to one of your date nights, but my husband won't. And I'm like, why won't he? Because he doesn't think he needs help. And I'm like, well, he does. So how do you teach somebody to be open to learn, be open and willing to try things, be open and willing to hear things, to get feedback? Wouldn't that be great if we could give each other feedback without our partner getting mad?
Can you teach that?
Yeah. You can also operate and do surgery, but it's cheaper to teach it.
Okay, how?
At some point, you just have to know that it's a problem. So what if on our bucket list we just said to each other, let's accomplish 4 things in our life, in our relationship.
When you say we, is that like you and a spouse?
I would take this to each other and say, I saw Matt teach this. These are things I want to leave and use in my life. Can you help me accomplish these 4 things? It's so that I am more open and flexible and willing to hear, gain feedback. How many times do we not get feedback from our partner because they're too afraid to tell us stuff? They know how we'll react if they bring up the issue. So I just want you to ask yourself out there in TV land, are you open to feedback? Are you really good at getting feedback with people? Because if you're not, worry about you. In all of these, worry about you first. You master them first, and it'll be easier for everyone around you to probably follow your lead.
So set the example, model the behavior.
Set the example, model the behavior. So be open to feedback. Number 2, you must learn to love without conditions. Now that sounds like, okay, we know that one. But so many of us put conditions on our partner. Like, if you ever do this, I will be gone. And the minute we start putting conditions on other people, those are your conditions. The rule is, I don't care if you have conditions, you must love me no matter what. You must love me no matter what. If I'm your child, your teenager that goes completely awry, mess up my life, and totally jack it up forever, jacked it up, I used it, I want you to still love me. And I want to know that when I go home to my mom and dad, they will still love me unconditionally. As humans, but what about when we start getting into all the conditions? You know what? First worry about love and master it, then worry about conditions. As humans, we worry about conditions first, assuming love is always there. No, you love unconditionally. Here's why. If I know that you don't love me, then I'm always going to be afraid when I deal with you. And I can't ever necessarily be me. I have to be loved enough to know that I can make a mistake in life. To know that I can actually be genuinely who I am.
So essentially the love comes first.
And then eventually I found once the love is there, you have so much more influence to have power with this person. We try to create a condition, and then in the conditions I'll love you and have power with you. I want you to just possess love. Main reason, because everybody out there says they believe in that. Everybody out there tells me they believe in loving each other unconditionally. Oh, I believe it, but we don't do it. So let's just make it that if anything else happens in our life, our kids and grandkids can say, Grandpa was so loving. He loved us unconditionally.
And it's interesting, on the second point, on the first point you were talking more about spouses. The second point you almost talk more about kids and like other people that aren't necessarily a relationship.
Yeah. We do it with our spouses too. We conditionally love our spouse.
What's an example that you see over and over of a couple that maybe
if you touch me, I'll vacuum.
Excuse me.
Now the funny thing about that is you should just love me regardless of me touching you. And you should just vacuum and love vacuuming because you love me. We should just love each other without the condition of it. And that's a high level of living, but it's the highest level of relating. Once I know you love me, I can do so much more in my life.
You're willing to give so much more and offer so much
check it out. Are you open to being teachable and loving? And then are you open to loving unconditionally? Next is, are you patiently present? And you've heard me talk about this a million times. What if we could just be patient and be present with each other? So I just spent a week with my kids, and they'd come up and just want to talk my ear off. And I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. Go back to your game. Go back to the game thing you were playing. Daddy needs some... Dad, we've played it for 4 days. But what I found is I wasn't being present with them. So here I am on a week-long trip with my family, and I'm not even present. What good is a trip with your family if you're consciously not there? What good is having a job if you're never present when you're there? What good is having family time if you hate it and you're not in your head? So the rule with this isn't more time, it's not more trips, it's not more vacations, it's not more things. It's learning to be present with your kids. So what I noticed is, as they're telling me the story I really didn't care about, I just paid attention. And I watched his eyes get bigger as he would tell the story, and he got more emotional. And honestly, it changed me, and it made me love him. Back to principle 2. And once I started feeling love for him, I was more influenced by him. I was more teachable by him. Now this little kid's influencing me. So the three of them are starting to go hand in hand. Makes sense?
Love it.
Be present. Last but not least is you have to have an infectious appreciation for life. Appreciation means I go looking for what is good. I'm appreciating things in life. Now this, Einstein taught it, that however you see life, do you see it as a depreciative thing or an appreciative thing? Do you see it positively or negatively? However you orient your life will determine everything you find. And this is Einstein, right? So if you appreciate life and see that there's good in there, then you'll go looking for the good stuff. Appreciation means our life should go up in value. And instead of depreciating life means our life gets more and more finite and less valuable to us. If we get more and more appreciative means we see the good and we actually show gratitude for it. When I see my families having a fun time, I actually feel grateful for that moment. And the more moments like that I feel grateful for, the more of them I notice are happening, and the more easily able I am to be present. And when I'm present, I can love more easily. And when I love, boom, I have an open heart and I'm teachable. Make sense? So now all of a sudden this grows. And then I become what's called an attractor. And now I'm attracting people to me because I'm appreciative. And how many times have you been with somebody that was so negative and depreciative, they only pointed out the ugly things, and you actually became less attracted to them? You wanted to be, you were repelled by them. So what our goal is with people is to notice the good. When we see that they have beautiful hair, say, oh my gosh, your hair is beautiful. Like they say it to you all the time. I know they do. And your watches, they say, hey dude, your watches rock.
And your hair is beautiful. May I say that too?
They do, but see how powerful this could become? What if we could just possess 4 traits? I tell you, the Grand Canyon, skydiving, nothing else will relate to those 4 things on your deathbed.
And you can see how they would apply to every relationship in
everyone.
Your life. Love
even
it, Matt.
Your in-laws.
Love it.
Thanks, kids.
You always have great information. In fact, online, you got a special deal for people to actually access all your information.
Now, what we've been doing is, so I do this 8-minute segment, and then I go back to my office and I do what's called a deeper cut. A deeper cut is about 30 to 40 minutes on these 4 points. And then we videotape them and we put them on my website. And if you want access to the website, you can go get all my old date nights, all my classes, everything I do is on this website, plus the deeper cuts, and we're giving everybody that's a listener, a viewer of Studio 5, $1. You go on for $1, you get 1 month's worth. You can go back to every deeper cut I've done. You can go to all my women's classes. Go check it out. Go to deepercutswithmatt.com, and you pay $1 for a 1-month subscription.
Great idea.
Thanks kiddos.
So
All the deep information.
All right, coming up.